Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me again. I am hanging out in the garden this morning. It is a nice overcast day. I don't know if you can notice that in the background, but it's a beautiful overcast day, and well, it's only the morning, and I just thought I'd come out here and hopefully get to show you guys around the garden and show you all the beautiful things that have changed and everything that I'm so excited about, and just to show you guys just the ease of the garden and how much joy it actually brings me and brings to friends and stuff, because I'm getting so much produce at the moment that I'm able to share it with people, and that actually brings me a lot of joy. So come on, let's get going. Let's have a look. The first place I want to take you actually is over to our aquaponics system. I know I don't show you it very often because it's not where my true passion lies. My true passion is in the garden beds. Matt likes the aquaponics side of things, so I'm kind of responsible for the growing. He's responsible for the fish and the things that live in the water. So I probably don't show you enough of the aquaponics, but I am actually a bit excited about the aquaponics at the moment because it's got some beauties growing in it. So here we have the aquaponics. There's not a huge amount planted in here. This is that small-leafed kale that I let go to seed over in one of the garden beds, so I've got more seeds coming on that. This is getting a little smashed by the grubs, but it's been so wet and rainy here that a lot of things are being smashed by the grubs. So over the back here I've got a black cherry tomato, some capsicums, and a couple of Russian black big tomatoes, and then some of these capsicums, which oh yes, these are the mini sweet chop capsicums. So they're starting to put out a little bit of fruit. But over in the garden bed, there's one over in the garden bed that's actually putting out a lot of fruit. But this is actually what I wanted to show you. I've got some beautiful, beautiful tomatoes happening on this plant. Now this is the black Russian tomato, so it's still got to change colour and go that deep dark colour. But I've actually got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's another one up there. At least five fruits on it at the moment. And then I've got cucumbers are in the aquaponics right next to it. And then I've got another one of the Russian black tomatoes here, which is, as you can see, it's starting to flower, but I don't have any fruit on this one at the moment. And this one is a black cherry tomato. I got this as a seedling, and it's actually, I just noticed then, it's starting to put out some flowers. So I can't wait till I start getting all these tomatoes. I know I'm going to have a glut of tomatoes, but I have a plan for them all. So the plan for the tomatoes when I have too many, because I have those ones in the aquaponics, and then I'll show you the others that I've got around in the garden. I am going to, I want to dehydrate a whole heap of them and make a tomato powder, so that when I don't have tomatoes, I can use it as like a tomato paste, or I can use it as the base of a tomato soup. Or just to add flavouring to stews and stuff like that. So that's what I plan on doing. I've never done it before because I've never had that many tomatoes, but I'm really hoping that this season I get lots of tomatoes and I can do that and try it out and see how it all works. So while we're right near the aquaponics system, I'll show you these two garden beds. This curly cabbage, that is ready for me to pick and turn into a sauerkraut before all the little critters eat it. I don't think that one's going to do anything. I'll leave it in there and see what happens. But then these wongboks, they are kind of looking as if they want to start bolting to seed, so I might cut them out and turn them into a kimchi, because I have daikon radishes up over in that bed down there that are ready to pick as well. Now, I was saying before about the capsicums. The ones in the aquaponics are fruiting, but look at this one down here. I need to stake it up, but look at all those fruit. I can't wait to see the colour that they turn. And this is another one. It's not doing quite as well, but it's getting there. And as you saw in the last video, there's my jalapenos. They are really going mad. And then this is the candy stripe capsicum, which I've got like 3. I only picked 3 capsicums off it yesterday, and it's got plenty more coming on. So I look forward to eating all of them. I've also got these tomatoes in these 2 self-watering pots. Lots more came up, but I've just left 3 tomato plants in each of the pots, and then I've got some sunflowers just planted in the middle. Now these tomatoes are a big one as well. These are the Ox Heart Large, and they're starting to flower and produce. This, where is it? It's this flower over here. Can you guys see how big that flower is? I think we're looking at like 2 or 3 flowers there that have joined together. Now that's called, I read it somewhere, it's called fasciated blossoming. So that's where you get 3 flowers and they fuse together and you end up with a larger tomato. You've just got to be careful of splitting and stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll take you on the journey of that tomato and see what happens. Also, with some of the ones that I pulled out of this pot, over here I planted up so I can give it to a friend, and then I also put another couple on this other side of the archway. I had, my friend gave me 2 other tomatoes, which were Groslissies, and one died, and I thought this other one here had died, but it seems to be still alive, so we'll see what happens with that one. Hopefully I get a Groslissie out of it, and we'll just wait and see. It's all part of the process. Having some plants fail and some plants succeed in your garden is totally normal. You can't expect that everything that you plant is going to succeed. And one year you might have a really good season on, let's say, tomatoes, and then the next year you might have an absolutely terrible season on tomatoes. So for me, last year I didn't have a very good season with zucchinis, but this year my zucchinis are just, they're loving life. They are getting a little bit fruit fly damaged, but I'm picking them early enough and putting them in the fridge, cutting out the fruit fly larvae and making sure that's disposed of correctly and not put back out into the compost, and then picking off the ones that are starting to rot early and there's larvae in there, and then just bagging them up so that it can so the larvae can die and we don't have that repeated cycle of the fruit fly. But my zucchinis are just, they are booming this year. My 2 sorts, the golden one and I always call it Italian, or I always forget the name of this one. So as you can see on that fruit, see all these little dimples? That's where the fruit fly has done its little bit of damage. So I'll pick that one later and take it inside and put it in the fridge. It has just taken over the bed. That's like 3-4 plants in this bed, and it's just taken over and it's loving it. I might come through and see how some of these leaves, they're the older leaves, I might come through and prune them off just to give it a little bit more airflow, and so fungus and all that sort of stuff doesn't take over. I have been doing that with the yellow one. This has been flowering and fruiting like nothing else. I've been giving away so many of these zucchinis, and everyone keeps asking me, are they ripe? And it's like, yes, they are. That's just the colour of them, because they're a paler colour, and I notice if they get a bit more sun, they're a darker green, but darker stripier green, but they're still quite pale compared to your normal blackjack zucchinis that you get in the shops. Now we'll move over here, and this is the pineapple tomato and the succotar melon. I'm impressed. I can't wait for this melon to start flowering. It's really started to take off and grow significantly. So I really look forward to having a look and tasting what these melons are going to be like, because I've never grown them before. I've never tasted them, so it'll be interesting. But this pineapple tomato, I'm so happy. I've got a tomato on it, and I've got a few more places where it's blossoming. So, and over here, I had quite a few suckers coming out on them. So in here, I'll show you where there is one. So see how this here is the main stem, and then we've got this little baby, and this one has grown quite big out of here. So what you can do is you can cut them off and you can plant them in the soil, which is what I've done here with these two, and they will develop roots. And so you have another genetically identical tomato plant from the one you've taken it from, and that will grow up and produce fruit and all that sort of stuff. So I've taken a couple here. I have plans for at least one of them going to my friend, and I might plant the other one around somewhere. I did just take a cutting before and planted it over on another trellis here, so we'll see how that one goes. I'll probably do the same for this one and just get a few more plants propagated. Propagating tomatoes must be one of the easiest things to do if you don't have seeds and you already have the plants and you want more of them. You simply cut off those extra shoots and you put them in the ground, and you put them in a fair way, because where there's little hairs on the tomatoes, they're all potential roots. So if you put it in a fair way, you're going to get a really good root ball happening, and which will make for a really good, strong, healthy tomato plant as well, that's going to produce you some good fruits. So I love doing it. It's sometimes you have failures, but that's just like anything. You have failures in some things, and not everything works out. But if you do 5 of them and 3 work out, well, then you've got 3 more plants than what you had beforehand. So why not propagate and multiply and share the love and the joy of that tomato around. Moving over to Matt's chili bed, it has bushed out, greened up, and is starting to look amazing again. We've had a couple of chilies off this one here, which is I really don't know the name of it. It's not your long red green, but it's not your cayenne. It's kind of a cross between the two. Yeah, I'm thinking I might actually pick some of those chilies green and make a green curry paste with the ginger and everything that I have, and lemongrass and stuff like that. Just make a green curry paste out of most of the things in the garden. Matt's other chilies, his habaneros and his whatevers, they're really, I forget all the names. This chili patch is honestly, it's Matt's. I'm not a huge chili eater. Matt will have chili on absolutely everything. But these cayennes, it's just, I don't know if you can see all of that. It's just flowering like mad and has so much fruit on it. Oh, and then just down here are the blackjack zucchinis, which were obviously put in much later than the other zucchinis that I have. So they're starting to really establish and get there. I had to move those two over there because they were kind of right where that chair is, and but instead now we've got that nice little paved area with the seating area, with the seats, and it's actually really nice to come out here and just look at the view, because I mean, look at that, sitting down having a drink, you get to see all the bushland, overlook the whole entire garden. It's so magical back here, and it's shady in the morning and in the afternoon, so I'm really loving this area. And I get to watch all my ginger popping up and sprouting. I left all of this ginger in from last season, and it's just all popping up and just thriving. And same with this turmeric over here. I left that in because I'd already dug up enough, and you can never have too much, and it's in the garden, and it's going to multiply some more this year, and I can dig some of it up and use it again. And my dragon fruit, which I did point out a couple of videos back that it was starting to flower, but there we go, and I've got another flower just up here. So we should have a couple of nice dragon fruits for Christmas, I reckon. And these ones are the red ones. They're going to be absolutely delicious. Now, there are spots in the garden that aren't doing very well at all. Like, if I sit down here, like this kale behind me, it has just been, so what is it? It's a Tuscan black kale, and it has just been destroyed by the aphids this season. And I've done a lot of pruning and cutting and composting of it, and it's sticking in there, but it's not doing great. I also want to get rid of these spring onions out of this bed, because I think this little garden bed could be used more efficiently for something else, because those spring onions are going to grow anywhere. They don't have to be in a raised garden bed now that we've got all this place mulched. So I might pull them out at some stage and just plant them around in random spots that they can then clump up and get bigger and more beautiful and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you can see behind over here, the Thai basil is out in flower and it's looking all pretty. This rain that we've had about is just absolutely magnificent for the garden. Look at that, and the bees. It's bringing out the bees, and it also brings out all the nasty insects as well that lay their eggs and then start chomping through all your leaves. So we have 2 choco plants down here that are starting to take over this trellis area, which will be good. I'm still not, Matt likes chocos, I'm still not 100% on them. We'll see how it goes. Oh, look at that nasty. Can you see that? That is a fruit fly. I've really got to come and try some fruit fly bait. For the fruit fly traps, I've done a little bit of research. Obviously, I'm going to go as natural as I possibly can. Well, I'm not going to go any chemical stuff. I'm going to go natural. So I collected some plastic water bottles, and I've read that Vegemite actually works. So I'm going to put some holes in it because they go for that fermented smell. I really need to get in and put some holes in those bottles and get them out here with some Vegemite and hopefully really lower the fruit fly population. So we'll see how that goes. This looks like a bit of a jungle back here. I have tried to come in and pull out a fair few of the weeds, but there's a lot of nasturtiums, so I don't really want to pull them up because they provide good green edibles and edible flowers and brings in the pollinators and all that sort of stuff. But this is where I planted the watermelon, so it's starting to really ramble and cruise through, so we'll just let that kind of take over this area here and not worry about it too much. My tarragon is bouncing back, so we're going to get some beautiful yellow flowers out of that, and more pollinators are going to come. Brown cherry, which I planted over here, and I've got another one closer to the front of the garden area. They're going really well. It's just the bugs are loving the fruit before we can even get to it. So it is a little bit disheartening that the bugs are getting to the ground cherry or Cape gooseberry before we're getting a chance to eat it. But I was actually prepared for it because I have grown it once before and I didn't get a single fruit. At least this time round I've managed to taste a couple of them. I quite like the taste. I just wish that I could get more of the produce before the grubs and the insects and everything get to them, but because it's on the ground it is kind of hard. So I might have to do a bit more research and see what I can do to be able to yield a better crop that we can consume. So I shouldn't get disheartened over it because I was aware that that was a huge possibility here in the subtropics. As you can see, the passion fruit is really starting to take over this trellis area, and the asparagus is growing nicely, and then the fig. It has come back out in full leaves, and it actually has so many little fruits on it. See down here. Yeah, so this fig has lots of figs coming on. It's going to be so wonderful. This is the most amount of fruit that I'm going to get off this tree. I just love the way that every year everything is getting better and better, and it's producing so much more, and it's bringing me so much more joy every year, and I'm not having to put as much work into it every year either. Like I've put in the hard work of planting and keeping it alive for that first season, and now it's established, and it's just producing by itself, and that's such an amazing feeling. And I love that every year I'm going to get more and more produce from it because I've taken care of it in that initial steps. So now moving on from the figs, and we have the daikon radish bed. I have been harvesting from this bed, but there's still lots in there, and so I'm going to use some of these daikon radishes with that wombok cabbage that I showed you earlier, and some red chilies and some ginger and stuff like that, and make some fermented kimchi. But guys, have a look at this. The sunflowers are starting to pop out. I am so happy. My little vision of a little brightness of yellow over here is starting to happen, and as you can see today there's just a whole heap of little native bees on this open sunflower, and it's just so pretty. I love it, and how useful and cheerful a sunflower is. It's just so beautiful, and I'm about to get a whole line of them popping. Now this bed is slowly getting there. It's cruising along. I cut back the tomatoes that were here because they were starting to get a bit of fungus and stuff on them, and I've got cherry tomatoes elsewhere, so I cut them back just to allow some breathing space basically, and airflow. Now these are the Black Russian tomatoes, and as you can see they're not quite as advanced as the ones over in the aquaponics system, but they're getting there. It's all taking time. This bed, I think it was lacking in some nutrients and stuff as well. I picked my first okra the other day. Yeah, I still don't think I'm a fan of okra, but we'll keep it going for the season and see what happens. But look at this. My echinacea. It's going to bloom soon. I'm so excited. This is the first time I've ever grown echinacea, and I put it in just before winter, so obviously it died back, but now it's come back to life and I'm going to get a flower from it. I am keen to see these long white cucumbers. I'm kind of a little bit scared because they're looking very much like cucamelons and the cucamelon plant, but we will see. I can't see why they would be because I planted the seeds here, so I don't know, we'll just have to wait and find out. But according to the seed packet, it was long white cucumbers, so we'll see about them. And the West Indian gherkins, they are really cruising and about to start just climbing this trellis and going mad. And then over here, we have been getting so many golden zucchinis. It has just been wonderful. Once again, we are getting a bit of fruit fly damage on the zucchinis, so I'm keeping a fairly close eye on all of that. Well, that's kind of it for out in the garden this time round. I have other things to show you out the front, but that's just going to have to wait till another video. So I'm going to sign this one off here. Hopefully it wasn't a bit of information overload with all that. Like, I just feel like there's so much I've told you and there's so much more that I want to tell you, but I figure we can just slowly do all of that in each video that comes out. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Big hugs. Until next time.